Hey, Hulkamaniacs, welcome to What's Happening Wednesday. That's it. That's my intro.
Wow. Okay, guys. So today, this is Wednesday, and this is the officially unofficial geek.
Yes,
Um,
we're Hulkamaniacs.
we are, I
eat-
guess.
We eat our Wheaties and stuff.
Okay, but here's the thing, guys. It is the 12th of Halloween.
Yes.
It's Wednesday, and we are here with you to talk about what's happening Wednesday. So, what's happening, Joe?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I did laundry.
Yes, and you got a haircut.
I did. All my hair got cut off.
Yes, so when he left this morning
I had long hair.
he looked like he was ready for the Hulkamania train to come barreling through Rockford, but he came home and he looked like he had, in the time he was gone, joined Thomas Shelby's gang.
Yep.
So that's one thing that's happening. I you know, he's had his hair like this before. I rather enjoy it. It's cute. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about we're going to talk about the father.
How Carrie's never seen The Fly before. She got icked out in some scenes. It was super funny.
I got super icked out.
Yeah.
Super icked out. So we're going to talk about The Fly. We watched The Fly. We had mentioned that we were going to watch The Fly last week, so we did it. We also watched House of the Devil, which is the first, count 'em, first horror movie ever made. Sounded like a great idea for October to do that.
It was pretty neat. It's only 3 minutes long. Give it a watch. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's definitely on YouTube. But first and foremost, we're going to talk for a few minutes about the man that made basically all of this possible.
Carrie's going to talk about it because I don't know
gonna talk
anything about it
about
because
it.
that's homework and I don't do homework.
I do homework. I'm the one in this situation pretending I want to be a pop culture journalist. So I'm going to be taking care of most of the, like research parts of what we do here. But let's talk about the man that made this all possible. He is the father of the film narrative. His name is George Melies. And yes, George Melies. George here, he was born in 1861 in Paris, France. He was born in a huge family, lots of brothers and sisters, and he had a dad that had expected him, along with his siblings, to go into the shoemaking business.
Wow, boring as fuck.
Yes. And, here's the thing. Good old George, he was not into that.
Yeah, because that sounds boring as fuck.
Yeah, he was more into being an illusionist. So when his father died and everybody was expected to jump into the family business, he was like, you know what, guys, how about you all pay me out of the business, of my inheritance, and I'm going to go and I'm going to buy a theater. So George went and bought a theater in Paris. The Herald, I know the name, but I'm blanking on it. Oh, the Robert Houdin Theater, the theater Robert Houdin, and he did stage productions as an illusionist and all that. Now, around 1865, this is like late 1800s, early film history, guys. Okay, so near the end of 1895, he was invited, because he ran a theater, he was invited to go to this demonstration of the Lumiere brothers cinematograph or something like that. And it was a film camera, and it showed film. And this is something that had been popping up here and there all over the world. You have some of the earlier people doing this. You have the Lumiere brothers, and you have Edison Thomas Edison.
That fucking guy.
Yeah, that fucking guy, okay? Because believe me, I'm not going to probably go into it too much here, because I'm really just trying to do a quick little history about George. But this has one of the moments of Edison. This guy's life is one of the moments of Edison being a big old meanie and villain. You know, seriously, Thomas Edison sucks so bad. If you don't know about it, do yourself a favor. Google it. It's fun. You drop yourself down that rabbit hole and have a good time. So he meets and sees this camera. Well, oh my gosh. George, he falls in love. He is so into this shit. Okay? And he wants to buy a camera from the Luminaire brothers. Now, the brothers are like, guys, we really just were like playing around here. And we really think this is like going nowhere. Film narrative, no, not going anywhere, right? So they couldn't, in good conscience, sell this guy this camera, which is not the kind of shit you hear about nowadays. Like, if somebody wants to buy something from you and they're offering you good money, take the goddamn money and give them the product. Right?
I mean, unless the product sucks. I don't know.
But, see, the thing is like, in this circumstance, hindsight is 20/20. We already know, we're talking about movies tonight. So we know that when it comes to the film camera, it's where it's at. Right? So, but the Luminaire brothers were like, no man, we were just playing here and we thought it was cool and we wanted to share it with you guys. We're not going to sell you a camera. So what does George do? George is like, I am not accepting this. I am going to go and I'm going to do my research and I'm going to build my own. So he builds his own and he takes it on this test drive, right? He goes to, busy area of town and he starts filming. Well, at one point he is filming a bus going by his camera, and then the camera malfunctions and stops. Well, by the time he's able to get it running again, the bus is long gone, and the next thing you see on the film is a hearse and people walking after the hearse. Well, it was like when he goes back and he watches it afterwards to see what he got, he gets this idea. He's like, wow, I could just make something look like an illusion on screen by just stopping the film and then replacing it with something else and then starting the film. So here's the thing. Not only is George Melies the father of the film narrative, because guys, nobody was doing this. Anytime you were seeing film or anything like that put out in public, people were filming like everyday lives, like actual real, like the first instance of reality TV. Okay. Like one of the early films was Edison taking a film of somebody sneezing. Okay. So the idea of telling a story with the film cameras hadn't come up until George. So he's just like, I can take all this stuff that I'm doing and put it on film. The stuff that I'm doing on stage, and I can do it. And I can even do it to a higher degree than what anybody can see me do on stage. So basically, he's looking at this and he's like, the options are endless. Do we find a ceiling? No, we just find more sky. Okay, so not only is George the father of the film narrative, actually telling a story using film, he is the father of special effects. So here's a few things that George basically is responsible for, hey guys, we can do this. Okay. So we already mentioned the stop motion camera work, where basically you can make things disappear and reappear just by stopping the camera. and then starting it again. You have dissolves. He did that. Like, he was the first person to use a camera to do that. So stop motion, dissolves. You remember when you were a kid and you take pictures of the camera and you'd be like, okay, so you go and you take a bunch of pictures and you go to the film place, right? Now, people my age are going to remember this. People younger, take our word for it, you had to go someplace to have your film developed, okay? So you'd go there and you would get your film back and you'd be so excited, and you'd have the dreaded double exposure, where basically you had two films kind of, or two pictures kind of melding into each other, where you have this like thing where like you have your picture and then you have like the kind of see-through item that's kind of like pasted over it, right? The double exposure is actually something that you might get annoyed when we were kids, you know, and you'd get your film back and it looked all screwy. But in the film industry, the double exposure allowed for certain things to happen, especially in film narrative. You would be able to have a double exposure to represent ghosts or things that kind of just look, you know, see-through and that kind of thing. And that's something that George also developed.
Waka waka.
Yes. So, now, what kind of films did George do?
I don't know, but I assume you're going to tell us. This long, long rant.
It's not a rant. It's not a rant. I'm telling you guys. I'm educating. So, one of the most famous films that George actually made was...
Ooh, that moon film.
Yes. The Voyage to the Moon.
Yes. Awesome movie.
Now,
is that the name of it?
Well, that's the English version of the name. The actual name in his native language is, let me see here. Well, in English, it's A Trip to the Moon.
Okay, A Trip to the Moon, that's it.
Okay. But there is also a sequel to that called The Impossible Voyage.
Wait, what?
There's a sequel. You didn't know that, did you?
No.
Okay, cool. So another thing that you see in A Trip to the Moon, now guys, you probably have all heard of A Trip to the Moon in some way, especially if your parents let you listen to Smashing Pumpkins. Because Tonight from Melancholy and Infinite Sadness, the video is a homage to A Trip to the Moon.
Oh, that Billy Corgan.
That Billy Corgan, you rascal, you. He doesn't like to be called Billy Corgan anymore, by the way.
Yeah, I don't care what he likes to be called. I'm pretty sure he's MAGA, so.
I've heard that too. I've heard that he's at least like kind of a conspiracy theorist now.
Yeah, you know, I don't care what he wants to be called. He's Billy Corgan to me.
That
makes me sound like an asshole. All right, he's William Corgan. Whatever.
He's William Corgan. He doesn't like to be called Billy anymore. We knew him when he was Billy. So in A Trip to the Moon, another one of the things that George became synonymous with and became famous for starting was the painting film, so that it was not just black and white. He would paint over the film in the film cells, and then you would get the color. So like there's two versions that you can watch of A Trip to the Moon, and that's the fully black and white version, but you can also see the colorized version. And basically what that is George had painted the film that he put together. So it's like one of the first instances of color movies, all the way back in 1902. However, when you go and you look up, because I got to thinking, we kind of talked about this last time, you get to thinking, you know, where is the first Halloween, or excuse me, the first horror film? Okay? And you look at a list, and this guy's name is all over it. Now, he made over, they believe there are records of him making over 500 movies.
Wow.
Of varying types throughout his career. I believe the most recent number of the ones that still exist, it's only a fraction of that. I think I saw 194. Now, the reason that happened is because old George, he got upset, and because he had to sell his business and his film studio and everything like that, and I guess a lot of the props that he specifically made for films, and some of the film, he destroyed them.
Wow.
Himself. The other films that weren't destroyed by good old George were actually during World War One. His theater was taken over as a makeshift hospital for soldiers. And I did not know this, but the materials that make up the film could be melted down and used to make soles for the shoes, the boots of the soldiers.
Oh, I think you meant souls, like make souls for people and turn soldiers. And I was like, oh man, this sounds awesome about golems and shit like that. Yeah.
Not quite awesome like that. No, they didn't realize what they had, and that, you know, people now in 2022 would be like, I want to see that, right? So a lot of stuff got just kind of destroyed for different reasons. So when you look at some of these, you know, sites and everything like that, looking for what the first horror film is, this guy's name comes up a lot. And believed to be the first horror film is done by him. It's called House of the Devil. There are different names that it sometimes goes by,
yeah.
But it is called House of the Devil. So let's go ahead and let's talk House of the Devil, and I fully recommend you all go ahead. There are a few different small documentaries about George that exist on YouTube. So if you're not much for going through Wikipedia and all that, definitely just go to YouTube. There's definitely enough information about George Melies there. So the House of the Dragon, the year,
House of the Devil,
excuse me, House of the whoops, House of the Devil, thank you, Joe, from 1896.
pretty good shit.
Yeah, considering the time, the fact that there was no talking. You can find it on YouTube as well. In its entirety. Sometimes it gets mislabeled, but once you find it, you found it. And I'm going to describe it we're going to describe it a little bit here.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically what happens is it's the House of the Devil, and the devil brings out its little cauldron and starts cooking up a woman.
Yeah, fuck women. That's what he's like.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to cook up a woman for myself. And there's this beautiful woman with the help of his little helper, his little, like, Igor kind of.
Did you
like
actually
character.
get a story out of this? Cause
I did. I got a story out of this.
Okay, you're farther ahead than me, because I've watched it twice, and I get the little bit of the stories, but I'm really bad at
silent films.
Silent films. I'm really bad. Like, I like the ones that, like, will tell us what's going on. Like,
they have the little like cards.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like, you know, the devil made a woman.
Yeah, this is completely silent, so I don't know if he's like fuck women and rah, rah, or if he's just like.
I think well, one of the things I'm going to tell you is that George Melies had a girl that he used a lot.
Oh, that's his wife you were telling me,
well,
right?
that's not his wife at that time.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so George had had a wife.
Oh, he had another wife at the time?
He had a wife.
Okay.
Okay, that was not this woman.
All right,
so
gotcha.
What happens is George has this woman that he has in a lot of his films.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she is like it's like having like Tim Burton and Johnny Depp. Okay,
Yeah.
so like she's in a lot of his films, and later in life, after everything goes downhill for George, George's wife dies, and he decides he's going to remarry this woman, or marry this woman,
Okay.
who was actually believed to be his mistress as well. So George got around, but the thing is he was French, and I've heard that people are more okay with that.
French, man.
Yeah. So, let's see here. I'm trying to find her name. Let's see here.
It's not super important. But it is a pretty neat fact.
It's not super important, but the woman that comes out of the cauldron is the actress that he ends up marrying later after everything falls apart for him, and he ends life even after like having like a resurgence and like interest in his films in the 30s. He dies of cancer at the age of like 70 something, but before that happens, he is actually running like a toy and candy shop with this woman. Yeah,
that's kind of cool though.
Also, a man that also had a lot of a love for George Melies was Martin Scorsese. So there's a dramatization of George Melies' life that is within the movie Hugo.
I've never seen Hugo. So.
Yeah, I've never seen it either, but it made me like, hey, maybe I'll watch this now, So the woman comes out of the cauldron. It's this beautiful woman. She gets helped out, and then you never see her again.
Yeah.
Okay. So
who was she supposed to be?
I think he was. I think she is Eve or Lilith.
Oh, maybe.
That's my thought. Nobody. You know what? Maybe we'll have a seance and we'll ask George himself. It's a spooky season. Okay. So I think since it's the house of the devil, she is Lilith or Eve or whatever, and she gets brought off and like taken off, and then she's done. You don't see her again. But you do see that they get rid of the cauldron, and then you have these guys that show up. Like they stumbled upon the house of the devil, and they're getting, chased by witches and ghosts, and they tried to fight the devil, but the devil's like, no, son. And one of them like gets so scared they jump out a window.
Yeah, just like right out the window.
Just right out the window.
It's pretty humorous.
And so basically it's, these guys are fighting the devil, and it's not working out for them. But then all of a sudden, this dude pulls out in the middle of the devil's home, mind you, a cross.
Yeah, like just like pulls across off the devil's wall.
like the devil's like, here in case somebody wants to defeat me. Let's see if they're smart enough to find it. Like just right there. Dude pulls it off the wall and defeats the devil. Okay, so that's basically the end of it.
Yeah. It's just a couple minutes. I didn't get the whole Lilith part, but
the Lilith part was
above
a
me.
Guess on my end. It was a guess. It's a guess.
I just took it as all a womankind.
Well, but the thing
just
is,
because it's the 30s and everybody hated women back then.
Well, it's 1890s.
Oh, even worse. I've been reading up about women's history, and it's just real bad all the way through, but it's real bad back then.
Wait, so you've been reading up on women's history on your own without being prompted to do it for, like, the show, or, like...
Yeah, because something happened in one of my things, and I was just wondering.
One of your books?
Yeah.
You're so cute. Anyways. So, that's the end of it. I guessed on the whole Lilith thing because... of the whole.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, like, and all that. So yeah, I mean, it is considered the first horror film because it's dealing with the home of the devil. The devil is like terrorizing these guys.
Is he really terrorizing these guys? I mean,
well,
they're
afraid.
Into his house.
Well, first off, yeah, but still. I mean, don't start nothing you don't.
They broke into the devil's house.
Let's look at it this way. Yes, it's a fuck around and find out thing. Okay? They fucked around, they found out.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't start nothing, there won't be nothing. Right? So, yes. Maybe it's a horror film for the devil.
It is. It's like, God, people suck.
What's with these dudes? Like home invasion.
They're breaking into my house. I just want to burn this woman.
I just want to make this like Lilith chick, right?
I just want to make soup and look what happens.
And I gotta get my witches out, and I gotta be like, okay, guys, fucking wear the ghost gear, because that's what we're gonna get rid of them. It's like Home Alone for the devil.
Yes.
It's Home Alone for the devil. Oh my God. Guys, we stumbled upon something here. It's Home Alone for the devil. But anyways, okay, so it is the first horror film. It's nothing compared to what we see nowadays.
No, but it was really cool to watch. It was very cool.
Yeah.
I liked it. I think that's going to be a yearly thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, it prompted you, and we'll talk more about this after we get done talking about The Fly, but it prompted you to be like, I want to watch more of these first.
Yeah, I want to watch movies from the 1800s, man. I want to see these things.
Okay, so put a pin in that. We're going to get back to that. Okay? So let's talk about the main event, The Fly.
Yeah. What about it, man? It's a good movie. David Cronenberg rocks.
Yes, David Cronenberg, director, and he also co-wrote the screenplay, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so David Cronenberg, master of thriller and horror. When most people mention horror, you think of the names Wes Craven, you think of John Carpenter. Not a lot of people bring up David Cronenberg.
Oh, he's in. Yeah, he is.
Well,
he's brought up a lot.
the people that are really freaky about horror will bring up David Cronenberg. That's one of the points I want to make here. Okay? David Cronenberg is that undercover genius to the rest of the world, though.
Also in Star Trek, guys.
Also in Star Trek. So, what do we got here? We've got Jeff Goldblum.
Being sexy.
My dear God.
His hair's a little off. It's 80s hair.
It's the 80s. We'll leave it alone because it's the 80s. We've got Geena Davis.
Yes, being hot.
So Geena Davis is a reporter that specializes in working for scientific magazines.
Yeah.
And she gets sent to some gala, and she wants to find her next story. Well, Jeff Goldblum comes up and he's like, so I am working on something that is going to change the world. Well, I mean, come on, tell me more.
She wasn't really into that because she's like, everybody else is doing something that's going to change the world too in here. And then he's like, but everybody's lying.
Yeah, she was calling on him, calling him to the carpet like, okay, buddy, prove it. So he somehow convinces her, the weird scientist guy, because let's be real.
He is weird. He's very socially awkward. Weird
scientist guy. I don't know if that bodes too well in today's society. She just goes to his place, which is also his mad scientist lab. Right?
People don't follow weirdos home, guys.
Don't follow weirdos home. If it seems weird, it's weird. Okay? But for this purpose...
Yeah, it was real weird.
It was real weird.
I just want to teleport you, baby.
Oh my God. So... Right. So, spoiler alert. Let's say we're if you've never watched The Fly, you might want to stop the video now, or the recording now. Go watch The Fly. Come back to us.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna get into spoilers. Here's the thing. So he's a scientist, and he's awkward but charming.
Yes. And
not bad looking.
No, not bad. Well, I mean, he gets pretty bad looking.
He does eventually get bad looking, believe me. And she takes the bait. She goes back to his place with him to look at his scientific work, right? Because she's looking for the next big thing, and everybody else is boring her there. And she finds it. She finds exactly what she wants. And she goes to be like, okay, I'm going to record this. We're going to talk. And he's like, no. We can't do this. This is top secret. Nay. Oh, nay. This is top secret.
I need to stop watching that. I keep saying nay when...
But her videos are absolutely fantastic. Guys, Bailey Sarian, check her out.
We're not here to... She's got a big enough following. We didn't need to do that.
But you know what? She's cool. Check her out. And if you happen to chat with her anywhere online, mention me. Anyways, so, oh nay, he's like, no way, we can't record this. You can't do this yet. And she's like, man, why do you think I'm here? Like, why do you think I came to your dusty ass, lab that looks like a warehouse that looks like you're about ready to string me up and kill me?
I don't know, man. I think it looks pretty cool. I'd like to live in a warehouse.
Okay, granted, it did not look half bad, but if you're a woman that does not know the dude and you're showing up there and he's like, yeah, this is my home.
Yeah, you think he's rich.
No, you would think he's fucking like psycho.
See, yeah, probably if you were a woman. But I mean, like, if some guy's just like, hey, man, you want to come home with me, Joe? We're going to show you where I live. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, dude, isn't this place awesome? I'd be like, yeah, dude, this place is pretty awesome. Let's turn that monkey inside out. That sounded
So, okay. So, he's like,
I'm really stoned, guys.
I am not. So let me show you my teleport machine. So I've got all these pods, and we're going to put something in, and I'm going to teleport it, and she sees this, and basically he's like, do you got something that's personal to you? So girlfriend takes off her thigh-high stocking. That's what's personal to her. Puts it in the fucking pod, right? And he's like, does his computer magic. And in the second pod is her stocking. It changes pods. And basically he has now shown her teleportation.
And she's like, whoa, bro.
She's like, whoa, bro, I gotta record this. And he's like, no, bro. No. And she's like, well, what do you think I'm here for? And he's like, I thought you were just interested, like, in this stuff. See, socially awkward, guys.
She did tell him that he was a reporter, and he didn't, like...
He didn't even register that. She told him. He didn't even register that. He's just like, I gotta show this chick my thing. Like... And that thing is teleportation, not what you're thinking, y'all. But he does eventually show her his thing.
Mm-hmm. And his thing eventually falls off. I mean, spoiler alert.
Anyways. So...
Yeah, we're taking too long to get to the good parts where things start falling off.
Okay. So check this out. He convinces her, like, how about you come on this journey with me? We're so close. You come on this journey with me. You can record everything and be there when the action happens. And then you write a book. And you get my full cooperation. And she was like, you said book. I hear book deal. And I'm in. Right? So basically she's coming off of a breakup, right? With a real skeezy
guy.
Skeezy asshole, right? like, seriously, watch the film and see how skeezy this guy is, because he is skeezy. And, like, it really sucks that eventually he's, like, the only person she can go to. Like, but anyways. So, she's hanging out. And apparently, there's something about, like, hanging out with the awkward scientist dude for just a few days that makes her think, hey, let's bang.
Let's totally bang.
Let's boink. Let's bang. Let's do it. And he's like, wait, what? What? And this is after he fucking has a failure with the monkey.
Yeah.
You were talking about that a moment ago, dear.
Yeah, they turned the monkey inside out, I think, that same night.
Yeah.
That's pretty gross.
They turned the monkey inside out. Then, to kind of, you know, I guess get over it, they bang, right? So then she says something right after they're done with their coitus, right? And he's just like, it's like light bulb over his head. He's like, the reason monkey turned inside out, R.I.P. monkey,
yeah,
is because I wasn't telling it a certain way to do things.
So I was telling the computer a certain way to do it, and then he does it, and then he reprograms the computer.
And he realizes that the way he was having the computer react to the flesh was in a synthetic nature.
Yes.
So he uses a piece of steak, he uses a full steak, cuts it in half, and he demonstrates what he discovered is the problem, where he made regular steak, you know, and then he takes part of the steak and he does the teleportation thing. Then he cooks the steak, and then he has her taste it.
And the steak tastes like shit that went through it.
Yeah.
It tastes synthetic.
She said it tasted synthetic, and then he was like, okay, so girl, this is my whole thing. I'm going to teach the computer how to do this shit, and I know what to do. He goes and he does it. They're still, like, apparently, like, she's into this, right? And they start a relationship. Just right away. First of all, like, he just, you know, turned a monkey inside out, right?
Yeah, but it teleported. That's kind of cool.
But he turned a monkey inside out. They boink. Because, well...
Because who cares why?
Okay.
Who cares?
Then
God,
they're all no. What I'm saying is she just automatically fell in love with this dude, like, out of nowhere, like, dude.
It was true love for about 2 days, and then they boinked when he had the fly in him. Yeah.
Well, they don't even know that that's when it happened. Like, 'cause clearly she boinked when he didn't have the fly in him.
Yeah, that's true too.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Alright, so
we're going too slow.
But we're also getting ahead of ourselves. So check this out, right? They boink regularly. She's in love with him. He's falling for her. Blah, blah, blah. Right? She gets called away. And he starts getting, like, by her editor, who was her ex-boyfriend. And he starts getting jealous and feeling bad about himself. And he thinks, after he has a baboon go through the teleportation and doesn't get turned inside out,
it's like, I'm going to do this myself.
I'm going to do this myself. The problem is he's not doing it with her there, but he turns on the camera so she can watch later. But he does it. Unfortunately, a fly gets in the teleportation tank with him.
Dun, dun.
Now what happens is this.
Fuses them.
They fuse together. Okay, we could go into a whole bunch of, like, explanation for this, but guys, here's what happens.
Literally, they fuse together. That's all.
They
that's
basically,
the only definition you need, because that's
their
what it
genetic
says.
material fuses together. It says it on the computer when he asks, and so we know that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the computer knows that happened. Nobody else knows in the situation that that's what happened. Okay? So he comes out and he starts having these body changes. Like, he's tougher than before, and he can, do all these things. And he has this,
He can do a lot of pull-ups.
He can do a lot of pull-ups. He's suddenly an Olympic gymnast. Like, all these things. And his personality starts changing because of all this, too.
That's because he's becoming more a fly, an insect.
He's becoming more like a animal kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when Geena Davis's character is not into that, he's like, fine, I'm going to find another woman. And
He just like that part is so funny. He leaves without a shirt on, with a coat on.
He has pants, his leather jacket, no shirt. He walks into the bar. His face is looking
breaking out and gross.
Breaking out and gross, right? And he finds a woman.
After breaking that dude's arm in a arm wrestling match.
After breaking and we're not talking just a regular break here.
A compound
fracture. Yeah. Like bones sticking out and we see it kind of thing, right? Crazy, right? So he just takes the girl home and she just goes with him. And they boink, and he wants her, let me teleport you, baby.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't want anything to do with this.
And she's like, no, thank you. He's like, come on, baby. And that's when Geena shows back up.
She's like, I'm afraid. Like, you should be.
You should be afraid because Geena Davis took a sample of these hairs that were growing out her man's back and had them tested.
And it looks like he's becoming an insect.
He's becoming an insect. So he does a little bit more research on his own. He realizes, oh, fuck.
Fast forward 4 weeks, and he is one gross dude.
He is one gross dude. That metabolical thing is starting to happen where he is turning into a oversized human version of a fly, and he is gross.
Oh, yeah. Pukes on stuff. That made Carrie...
That was gross.
I love it. I love it.
It was cool, but it was gross. Like, he has this acid that can come out of his mouth and, like, melt flesh. Okay, but... He doesn't quite like that. He doesn't want to be like that, so he starts coming up with a plan. Like, how am I going to become human again? And he comes up with this plan that you have to put a super, like, human plus human into the teleportation tank. One of them. You put him in the other one. And then you use this third one he hasn't used in a while to merge both humans together. Now, a human and a human. A human within a human.
Makes a human.
Plus him makes that, super awesome human that he started out the process being. Here's where it gets even more gnarly. Geena Davis is pregnant.
Yeah.
And she don't know if it's from before or after
He became a fly.
he became a part fly. Because they banged on either end of that.
Yep.
Right? Is it raining again?
I don't know. Can't
It
tell.
might be.
Make sure the thing is still going.
Make sure it's still going? Yeah, we're still going.
Oh, okay.
So she goes to tell him he is looking really bad. And she can't tell him.
He's like, yeah, I've never been good at bathing.
So
he says that. It's like, I don't bathe, sister.
so he goes and she leaves, right? And he overhears her talking to the scumbag guy, ex-boyfriend, about how she needs it out of her right now. Because she has no idea what's going on there at all.
Yeah, it's hard to get an abortion in the middle of the night.
Apparently. So she goes and she's waiting to get her middle of the night abortion, right? And the Fly, Jeff Goldblum's character, decides he's going to come and take her away, where she has to get rescued because he wants to put her in the tank because she's a pregnant human to merge with him into one human.
That is a fucked up sounding plan.
It's really bad, and you can guess. She wasn't into it. She wasn't into it at all, was she?
No. I wouldn't be into that either.
So Scuzzy ex-boyfriend comes and tries to help her, and he loses a foot and a hand doing so. Oh
yeah,
well.
But he's goddamn it pretty tough.
But he's goddamn it pretty tough, and he tries to help even though he's a scuzzbag. And she gets free, and
Because I know if I lost my foot and hand, I'd be crying.
yeah, like all at the same time, and especially when it's taken off by acid.
Yeah, like I would not even help anybody. I'd be like, no, somebody help me. I need help now.
Yeah, can you know what? I give usually. I'm gonna need to receive at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she gets out of the teleport in just the right amount of time. So basically what happens is you have, in the third teleport, you have scientist Jeff Goldblum dude merged with another pod.
Yeah.
The teleport.
Because part of the teleporter pod came off.
Yeah. Dude. So.
Not pretty.
Very bad. Very bad. So, Geena Davis picks up the shotgun that Skeezy ex-boyfriend brought with him and puts the Fly out of his misery.
Yeah, where he belongs. Because holy crap, would you want to live like that?
Hell to the no.
No way.
Hell to the no. And guys, that's basically, that's the Fly.
I'm just going to come out and say it. The 80s version of The Fly is better than the 50s version of The Fly, and I don't care what anybody says.
You know what the thing is we've noticed that not only... I've never seen the 50s version of The Fly.
Oh, really? Wow. We gotta watch that. It's a good movie. It's
but we did kind of experience that when we watched The Blob a while back.
Yes.
Okay. We didn't talk about it on the show, but we watched The Blob. The 80s version of The Blob is much better.
I like the 80s version of The Blob more, too.
The 1990 version of Night of the Living Dead, much better than the original.
I agree. Not a lot of people are going to agree with you on that one.
But you know what? You do, and that's all that matters. If somebody's like, the only thing I have to watch is the original Night of the Living Dead, and we're bored, am I going to watch the Night of the Living Dead original version? Yeah, sure.
I'll watch it if it's on.
Yeah.
It's nothing that I seek out anymore.
Do I prefer the 1990 version? Yes. Because Barbara is so much more badass. And I love 90s version of Barbara. Anyways. But that's The Fly. It's gross.
Watch it. It's awesome, man.
It's awesome. It's awesomely gross. Jeff Goldblum, when he's not icky, hot. Okay.
He's more icky in this movie.
He's more icky in this movie than hot, but yes, you get the moments where he's hot. Then you have, for the dudes, you have Geena Davis, who's just always beautiful.
Or for the people that prefer women. It doesn't have to be just dudes.
You know what? You're right. Excuse me. For the people that prefer the ladies.
Geena Davis is a pretty lady.
And for the people that prefer the dudes, Jeff Goldblum. There you go. Thank you for correcting me, dear. So, I'm going to give it, an enthusiastic thumbs up.
I've given that movie a thumbs up since I've first seen it in the 90s.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Or in the 80s, probably with my grandma.
Yeah, your grandma had you watching horror films pretty early. Yeah. This is the influence of your youth here.
Yeah, nobody told me not to watch things when I was a kid, so I watched things.
Yeah. So guys, where do we go from here? You may be asking yourselves that because as of last week, we started wanting to have a plan in place so that you guys could watch with us. First off, before we mention that, The Fly, you can find it on HBO Max. Anyways, and I think you can find both versions, correct?
Yeah, the older one and the newer one are on there. And The Fly too.
In The Fly too. Okay. So HBO Max, go there if you want to watch it, if you haven't yet. Also, what are we going to do next week? Because we want you guys to be able, if you can, if you want to, go on this journey with us.
I figure we should talk about a new Halloween movie next week.
You know what? We're going to talk about slasher films.
Yeah.
In particular, we're going to go see the new Halloween movie at some point this weekend.
Yes.
Comes out on Friday. Halloween Ends. Okay. So we're going to go see that. Then we're also going to, because Joe made this comment, I had you guys put a pin in it, that he wants to watch more of the first of things. So, handy dandy Google, you go into Google and you type in, what is the first slasher film?
And the proto slasher from the 1930s popped up.
Basically, lots of people have different opinions on what the first slasher film is. There's lots of different opinions. However, we're looking for the old shit right now. Okay? So, when you're looking for movies in that list of movies that people believe to be some of the first slasher prototypes, as Joe said, a movie comes up. It's called 13 Women. Now, guys, this is a 1932. If you look at the Wikipedia page, which I'm looking at right now, it is a 1932 American pre-code psychological thriller film produced by David O. Selznick. You may know him from being producer of Gone with the Wind. And directed by George Archambault. Basically, the plot, 13 women who are sorority sisters at an all-girls college in St. Albans, all-girls college named St. Albans, all write to a clairvoyant Swami who, by mail, sends them each a horoscope foreseeing swift doom. That's the beginning of it.
So tune in next week and we will talk about it.
We will talk about Halloween Kills.
And probably 13
Not Halloween Kills,
if we rent it.
Halloween Ends.
She still needs to see Halloween Kills.
We'll do that, but since it's kind of an older, the older film, we're not going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Halloween Ends, and more than likely, we're going to rent 13 Women because
it's only $3.
It's only $3 to rent it on Prime. So for next week, 13 Women. We are probably finding out on Amazon Prime. And Halloween Ends, the new Halloween movie coming out this weekend.
This Friday.
We're going to talk about it. And, yeah. So, that's it for us this week. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't, sorry. If you did, well, thanks, guys. If you are not subscribed already, subscribe to the Officially Unofficial Geek. We not only talk about this pop culture stuff with movies and stuff like that, but we also talk comics. We also talk other things in pop culture. We have recently started a show series on the 30 best episodes of Doctor Who from the reboot era. So check those out as well. And all that. And please comment down below. Have you ever seen The Fly? What do you think of all the grossness?
It's a dope movie, and it's not that gross.
Do you think it's as gross as I think it is, or do you think it's not so gross as Joe thinks it is? Let us know in the comments, and we'll be seeing you guys. Say good night.
Good night.
And
have a good night, y'all.
Have a good night, y'all. All right, bye.